All right, welcome, George. This is today we started off by going somewhere different, just so we can get used to this. We could research this story. I don't know whether you have an idea of where we are and what we are looking at, George. Other than it being a plane
To fly, there was an old engine, and it was like thunder. It flew by. It was like, it was, wow, really.
Edward, can you hear George clearly, or
And it took some of the fuel per hour.
It's kind of like it's broken up. It's broken
George,
up.
I think you need to re-enter. I thought it was just me.
Yep.
But your audio is a bit scratchy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was me, but because it is not me. Can you do a mic check? We see whether it's you still have the scratch.
Well,
okay, he's already gone. So I'll give him a few minutes, and then I'm gonna read something from the BBC. So and as we do that, I think one of the greatest quotes before George comes back. Let me see whether I'll see one of the quotes that that Amelia Earhart wrote, and no, her husband is.
Oh, Helen is here. Helen is here. Hi, Helen.
Hi.
Oh, welcome, Helen.
Hi, thanks.
Are you ready?
Hello.
Hi. I can't stay long, unfortunately. We're supposed to have a meeting now. But the person is late, and he's supposed to be here at 10 after. If he comes 10 after.
No problem.
He was going to, then I'll have to hop out.
It's just 1 minute to 10 after. I think you should go check if he's there.
I know. I should have gone on at 3 when he didn't show up at 3, and then I said, maybe he won't actually be here at 10 after. So we'll see. But I'll when he shows up, I'll hop out.
All right.
Just come say hi.
Very much welcome to it. George, can you do a mic check?
yeah, how is this now?
Now you're good. You're perfect. Go ahead now. You can hear you.
Good.
Oh, I love the plane.
Your last,
Go ahead, Ami.
like over and over, I don't know how many times.
Still having difficulties.
Yeah.
Hearing him.
But George, can you hear us clearly yourself?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
Sometimes it's really good, like now it is really good. But when you start speaking a long speech, I don't know why it's cutting out. But it's okay. We'll figure it out. Maybe if we change the location, it will get better. So
I hear you fine.
yeah, sometimes you're hearing him fine, but the fact that myself and Edward can't hear him, sometimes we are not hearing him fine all the time. That's the thing. So anyway, this is the. Let me read a script from the BBC. First of all, this is the dairy field in London or in England, and this is the aircraft that Amelia Earhart flew. This is in 1932. Amelia Earhart took off from Newfoundland in Canada. I was just previously telling Edward that he's more closer to this story than I am. Edward, have you ever gone to Newfoundland?
Never. That's far away.
How far is it from you?
5. Oh, gee. Good about 3 hours by plane. 3 hours by plane.
Oh, that far. Wow.
Yeah.
So, in 1932, Amelia Earhart took off from Newfoundland in Canada in a bid to become the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. And she hoped to land in Paris. But bad weather and technical problems altered her course, and instead, after a flight lasting almost 15 hours, she landed near Londonderry in the Gallagher family field. So right now we are in the Gallagher family field. Miss Gallagher would speak to the BBC 3 years later to tell them of what happened on that hot Saturday afternoon when their uninvited transatlantic visitor dropped in with no money or luggage. Can you imagine that? This person is coming all the way from Canada with no money or luggage. That interview has been unearthed by Time of Our Lives, you know, a BBC radio answer program about life stories, experiences, and ambitions of older people in Northern Ireland. While the recording is not of the highest quality, it is still clear enough to get a good picture of what happened when a family was sitting out in the garden on one of those hot, you know, lovely hot afternoons that you sometimes get in May. And she describes how they saw a plane circling very low over their house before landing in a big field at the back of the house. While her husband and children raced towards the plane along with some farm workers, Miss Gallagher was as unflappable as the pioneering aviator. The afternoon was hot and I felt lazy, so I'm afraid I didn't pay very much attention to it. I was too comfortable where I was. That's what she said. The first farmhand who got to the airplane saw there was a woman in it and asked her where she'd come from. She said, America. I didn't know about this until afterwards, so my curiosity got the better of me after a minute or two, and I went up to the plane as well. Standing beside it was a touslet-headed girl in trousers and leather coat. She didn't seem at all excited. After a long journey, the only thing Miss Earhart wanted was a telephone to tell her husband that she has landed safely. And who am I muting? I'm muting Helen. Helen is the one with a bit of feedback. Yeah, so she was looking for a telephone to call her husband. While she was heading to call her husband, Miss Gallagher said she went to cook her a meal, and it turned out to be a good decision. She said she hadn't had anything but tomato juice since she left America. We asked her to stay with us until she was ready to go on again, and she said she would so long as we didn't mind her clothes. She had nothing but what she stood up in. And I wish we had her avatar here so we can appreciate you know, that aspect. And Yahuza, we see you. I know you are coming in from Taraba state in Nigeria. Would you mind saying hi before we go on, Yahuza? We still can't hear you, Maganji. You don't have a microphone, but I can see you are trying to speak, but you don't have a microphone. Maybe find an earphone and plug it in your PC. I see you're using your PC, and let's see whether we can be able to hear you. Helen, do you use earphones in your PC? Is it a laptop or a desktop, first of all?
I have a PC and it's a laptop, and right now I'm using just regular iPhone headphones.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I usually use for it.
We have Helen here who is also on a PC just like you, Yahuza. So she's saying she uses earphones. That will help. Can you unmute yourself one more time? We see whether we can hear you now. I see a microphone. No. But do stay along, Yahuza, until you figure out... you
might have to reset your audio. Did you suggest that?
By the way, press the lines. You will find some... Are they 3 lines, Helen?
Yeah, you can click escape for those 3 lines.
Yeah, press escape.
And then you go to the settings wheel.
Yeah.
All the way on the right. And then you go to user preferences.
User preferences on settings.
Preferences.
Yes, you'll see reset audio.
And then reset audio. Exactly. That usually works. Oh,
by the way, yes. All right, go ahead.
My meeting is here.
Go, Helen.
I have to go.
Go and say hi to them.
Thank you. Bye.
From Kenya.
I will. Bye-bye.
So, Yahuza, you press escape. Then you will find settings. Then you'll go to user preferences. And then you will see reset audio. When you do reset audio, try to speak and then we'll see whether we can hear you. But I would advise you do that with earphones plugged in because I don't know whether you're using a laptop or a desktop. But anyway, back to the story of Amelia Earhart. You'll see whether Yahuza will be able to say hello. So Amelia Earhart requested, yes, I will stay, yes, if you don't mind my my fashion style, because she didn't have clothes to change except the one that she flew in. We asked her to stay with us, of course, until she was ready to that. All right. In fact, she had literally no luggage of any kind with her, whatever, and no money either. But my husband was able to fix that. Looking back on that afternoon, Miss Gallagher said she thoroughly enjoyed having the very unexpected guest. I can still hear her nice matter-of-fact voice saying about her flight as though it had been rather a long motor drive on a cold day. The same year that Miss Gallagher gave her witness account of her encounter with Miss Earhart, the aviator became the first person to fly solo across the Pacific Ocean from Honolulu to Oakland, California. In 1937, she set herself the challenge of being the first woman to fly around the world. This challenge, however, proved too great, and she disappeared after taking off from Lae, New Guinea, bound for Hollard Island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. A rescue attempt lasted 17 days and scoured more than 250,000 square miles of ocean, but she was never found. The aviator remains a household name in the U.S., and an airport in her home state of Kansas was named in her honor. In March 2012, a similar bid to rename the city of Derry Airport after her was rejected when local politicians could not agree. Of course, I don't expect the British to name an airport after an American. So they wanted the airport which was closest to this landing field to be named after her, but the English refused. Magaji, if you reset your audio, can you now unmute yourself and let's see whether we can hear you? Can you speak?
Yeah.
Yes, now we can hear you.
All right. I did a set by certain and then I look for earpiece.
Yes. Go ahead and say hello to the audience. We have Edward from Canada and George from Fiji and myself and Helen from Sweden, who is now a Swedish American, has just left. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So George, how are you?
We can hear you. Just go ahead and
I can fine.
Edward,
I'm fine. Nice to meet you.
yeah, that's great. Nice meeting you here. Paul, it's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while. I'm wondering, did you change location because now your internet is very stable? Very stable internet.
Yeah. Yes. I changed location and I also am using a different network. I was using NTM before. Now I'm using Airtel.
Okay. What state are you in Nigeria?
I'm in Taraba State.
Okay, Taraba. So you're still in Taraba, but you changed location within Taraba.
Yes. No, I'm still within the state capital.
Okay.
But I left my previous office to a new office, which is a better location.
Okay. Nice. So we were just looking at the life of Amelia Earhart is one of my favorite, role models. I love her story. And I really was looking for this quote that I really love from the movie that was also dedicated, on this story. Let me see whether I can be able to find them. Let's go. And if you haven't seen the movie, you should. It was a very good movie.
I've not seen the movie.
Oh yeah, the movie was just wonderful.
That's great.
I know it will be very hard for me to find the quote. I wish I wrote it in my notes. Let me see. Then this particular quote that I was looking for, and I can't find it, was written by or said by her husband, because don't forget how distressed he was. This is the age of wired telephones. The husband was waiting for her in France, but the turbulence brought her to London or England. I don't know how close London there is to London. I keep saying London as if they are close to each other. Maybe they are not, but I know it's somewhere in England. So you can imagine the husband is waiting for her in France, overlooking the Atlantic, and he is not finding her. So you can imagine how distressed he was. And he said this quote, and that's the one I wanted to read for you, but I'm probably find it. I had it saved somewhere else. I'll look for it maybe another time. But it was saying something like, look up there in my very eyes. And he was promising that you'll never lose me, because there in my very eyes is my eternal presence. And it was a very distressing moment. But then you obviously understand that he didn't know whether his wife had survived or not. So the movie itself is called Amelia. And I think it was, if I'm not wrong, it must have been produced in 2009. So just go and look for it, Amelia in 2009. And you will see the quote that the husband says there at the very end. It's a very beautiful quote. And there it was. And I'm now actually wondering whether we should go back to our African space, because if we do, I'm sure Yahuza will not be able to join us, because I still don't trust his internet. So let's go to our alternate space, which is our third space, because it's much easier to load. So yeah, let's go to third space. Here we go.
Okay.
So another reason why we also came here is to see whether George microphone would be better, because it's a lighter world. So George, you can do a mic check.
How's it sounding?
George, can you do another mic check? We see whether this world is much fairer for you.
Yeah, how's this? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go on.
Oh, yeah.
Can you check in? We see whether we'll break up when you're checking in.
Well, Engage has been having lots of problems lately, it seems. Last week, it wouldn't let me in at all.
Oh, wow. I thought you were busy. But at least now your audio is fine. We can hear you properly. Yes, they have been having issues. Yahuza, if you don't mind, let me lock you in the front seat so that you don't walk around. And then today we have a tale from Africa. Now, I do know that I owe you the part 2 of Nyambura's story. And that's why I didn't actually give it for George and Dot, who are present in part 1. Dot is still not here for the part 2. But let me read you something else. I do have a tale from Africa. And this is actually a cultural folklore. Just like you may have folklores in your countries, we also do have a lot of folklores in Africa. And this particular one is called Awino Nyomunga. And this is from the tribe in Kenya known as the Luo. This is the Liveric Nilotes who are found around Lake Victoria in western Kenya. And Luo are popularly known for many things. President Barack Obama himself his roots were Luo. Because don't forget, I keep telling you that, Edward, I don't know whether you remember how many tribes are in Kenya. Do you remember the number?
Oh boy, I don't know.
You don't remember? It's
16?
42.
16?
No, it's 42.
42.
Yahuza, how many tribes are in Nigeria? I keep telling you, Nigeria has the biggest number of tribes. How many cultures do you find in Nigeria, Yahuza?
We have over 250 tribes in Nigeria.
Wow.
Over 255. And the last time I checked actually on the internet, Yahuza, they say it's over 500. But you can see Yahuza himself is a Nigerian. And he's telling you that there are over 255 cultures. That's what sometimes people don't understand about Africa. Myself and Yahuza are both Africans, but we are not of the same tribe. I have my cultures, Yahuza has his. And those cultures could be very polarized. Like we could be doing things totally different from each other. And maybe one day I'm going to invite Yahuza to, for example, give an example of how they do their dowry ceremonies. And then I'll give a story of how we do our own dowry ceremonies. And then you'll see how different our cultures are. But in this new age, of course, right now, there is a mixture of cultures. Why? Because Kenyans are marrying in Nigeria, and Nigerians are marrying Kenyans. In fact, I know a good friend of mine, Beth, who got married by a Nigerian. Our own president's own daughter was married by a Nigerian. Was it a Nigerian or a Ghanaian? One of the two. But inside that country are tens of different tribes. So I keep telling you that if I drive this way, in 3 hours, I'll be in a different tribe speaking a different language. And that is why, if I may remind you, that is why we have a national language. So I do have my mother tongue, Kikuyu. And then we have the national language, which is Kiswahili, which is spoken in many parts of Africa. And then we have the official language, English. In some countries, it is French, because they were colonized by France. In some countries, it is Portugal, because they were colonized by the Portuguese. So, different countries, different cultures, different languages. And sometimes it can be overwhelming. So when you go to Nigeria, if it's a cultural tourism, you cannot go back and say you've seen it all. No. Myself, as much as I love history and cultures, I hardly know over 18 cultures myself. Now, if there are over 500 cultures in Nigeria, how many cultures do you think are in the whole Africa? In Kenya, there are over 42. In Tanzania, there are over 60 cultures. So you can imagine then the immense number of cultures across the continent. It must be thousands. But also, they are getting extinct by the day. When my 6-year-old son was born, I was learning theology online via Zoom from the University of Notre Dame in Indianapolis. And so, in the second semester, I went in with my wife, his mother. And that time he was only 1 year old. And so we realized it's going to be a problem if we are speaking another language on our computer, and then we are speaking another language to him. And so we decided to use English. And so my 6-year-old son doesn't understand the local language. He does a little bit, of course, one word sometimes, but he doesn't understand the whole of it. However, he does speak English throughout. Now, English is his first language, whereas Kikuyu is my first language. Does it help him? I would say yes. It helps him because he has taken up virtual reality, and in his as much as he is 6 years old, he's found a room where 6-year-old goes to. I think the app is called there is Gorilla Tag, and there is Penguin Paradise, and there is Rec Room, and there is Roblox, filled with kids. And so because he's going there and he's meeting Canadian kids and American kids, now he's able to communicate with them. And I was like, oh, that's a silver lining in the cloud. That's a silver lining. Because if you only knew Kikuyu, then you wouldn't be able to communicate with the other kids who are in the Metaverse. And for him, he is growing in the metaverse. Growing in the metaverse. Now, let me paint you a little bit of a picture. So, in our rural village campus, where sometimes we spend the time, including like today, there are no other kids of his age. Of course, there are kids of his age at school. But at home, inside the gate, no other kids. Only himself. And so when he gets bored, he plugs into his VR, which he now has his own, and you can hear him playing now with the other kids in the metaverse. And so he cannot say that he doesn't have a social engagement while he's at home. Of course, it is online. I wish it was much more better. But until we get him a sister or a brother here locally, he'll have to do with his metaverse brothers and sisters. And so that shows you that urbanization and the new global era of tech is also changing the cultural aspect of young people. Most Kikuyus are not even speaking Kikuyu, and leave alone that Israel has a VR. Now I'm talking about TikTok, right? Most Kenyan teenagers communicate in Swahili, not in their local language. Swahili, don't forget, is the national and the continental language. And in that point, Yahuza, is there Swahili spoken in Nigeria? Is there a version of Swahili in Nigeria?
No, Swahili. I think Swahili is mostly in East Africa.
Yes. It's not only East Africa, it's East. I have had Swahili in Central Africa. I've had Swahili in some of Western Africa. I don't know whether it was Senegal or Cote d'Ivoire, but there is a scattered Swahili. I didn't know whether there was Swahili in Africa, in Nigeria, but it is one of the most popular languages in the whole continent. So,
yes, we do. There are maybe a pocket of them that come to do one or two activities, maybe business, settling,
yes,
government work, but as an indigenous language, Nigeria does not have Swahili as an indigenous language.
So yes, of course, Swahili is not an indigenous language, by the way. It's a mixture of many languages. But I was just asking if it is spoken anywhere in Nigeria. Now, the teenagers in Kenya also diluted with another language called Sheng. And right now it's not even Sheng, it's Shebeteng, where they speak another language altogether that I even cannot understand. So it's like a corrupted English, like the one spoken in the ghetto in America. So it's very hard to understand the ghetto English, and it's also hard to understand Jamaican English, for example. So here we also have the Swahili that is spoken in the ghetto, which is very hard to understand. Sometimes my students teach me. So let's go back to our tales and go to the story of Awino. Now, Awino is the name of a girl. Let's hear what happened with Awino. This is a long time ago, of course. This story starts with long time ago. Long time ago, in a distant land, there lived a remarkable girl named Awino. The people of her land lived in peace and abundance, and children played freely in the vast fields. Boys often played hunting and war games, while girls busied themselves with cooking, games, weaving, and chasing butterflies. But Awino was not like other girls. She didn't enjoy the usual games. Instead, she was often found among the boys, deep in the woods, wrestling, mock fighting with sticks and clubs, throwing spears, or aiming arrows at distant targets. She was fearless, strong, and swift. One day, during their usual wrestling games, Awino out-wrestled every boy present. Jokingly, the boy said, maybe only the village champion can bring her down. The village wrestler, hearing of this, laughed off the idea until the children pestered him enough to agree. Much to everyone's surprise, Awino pinned him to the ground. Shame flashed the wrestler's face. At home, Awino's mother, having heard the news, warned her daughter to be careful. Power attracts pride and envy. she said. But Awino only smiled. Words of Awino's strength spread like wildfire across the neighboring villages. When the seasonal wrestling tournament was called, the elders insisted she join. One after another, she defeated the best wrestlers in the land. Her fame soared. In those days, wrestlers were celebrated as heroes. Victors received half the village's seasonal offering of goats and grains. But Awino, seeing the burden it placed on the people, declined the rewards. Let the people keep their harvest, she said. Let them prosper. And so Awino refused the blessings or the gifts that other wrestlers were receiving, choosing instead to forego the gifts for the sake of the people. The chief and the dethroned wrestlers were angered. To them, Awino was a threat, challenging tradition, humiliating them, and denying them wealth. One evening, while resting under a tree beyond the village, Awino was ambushed. She was tied to a tree in the forest and left as prey for the fierce hyenas that roamed the night. But after midnight, the village gates shook as logs pounded them from outside. It was Awino. She had freed herself and returned, bruised but alive. The people rejoiced. The search parties had failed to find her, and many had feared the worst. 2 seasons passed. Awino's legend grew so great that it reached the dark lands of the ogres. In secret, the bitter chief and the wrestlers sought the oracle. They begged a way to destroy Awino. The oracle led them to the ogres, promising they would lead the land of her. At a price, the ogres agreed. The chief returned, grinning. Let her face what even men cannot, they whispered. But Awino, gifted with a deep connection to the earth, had already sensed danger. That evening, she climbed a tall tree outside the village, bows and arrows ready. At dawn, 3 towering ogres arrived, calling Awino's name, Awino. The villagers fled indoors, locking themselves in their homes, peeking out with fearful eyes. The chief watched in satisfaction. At last, he muttered, the girl will fall. From the treetop, Awino took aim. With her arrow and bow, she took aim, and she released the arrow. It thundered through the sky and struck the first ogre down. Another shot, another crash, and the second ogre crumpled to the earth. The last ogre paused, confused. Awino descended calmly, laid her bow on the ground, and stood before him. In a flash, she struck. Kaboom! The ogre fell, spilling the beans. Literally. Among the spilled sacks were tokens of tribute taken from the people. The truth was revealed. The ogres had long ruled through the corrupt chief, feeding off the villagers' hard work. Awino shot a final arrow that exploded, ending the last ogre for good. Silence held the village until the people slowly emerged. They saw the fallen ogres, the chief's treachery, and the bravery of Awino. The chief and the jealous wrestlers were banished. Awino refused any gifts or token. Instead, she returned every goat and grain she had ever been given. Let hard work feed the people, she said. In time, she formed a council to lead the land. But one day, riding a cyclone like a legend of old, she disappeared from sight. Some say she became wind and spirit, forever watching over her people. And they still whisper her name today, Awino Nyambura, daughter of the rhino. We will close that story with beautiful music from the side of Awino. We call the genre of music Ohangla, from Kisumu in Luo land. And we are going to hear one of the best musicians from that side of the country, Tony Nyadundo. Eat quickly.
Nimewalia sana mama. Watira tenda tunumina. Watila butanda tuni mama. Wame wugu tanga pinyo mama. Doa ya machuzi. Doa ikifutika. Doa ya machuzi. Doa ikifutika. Nimewalia sana mama.
And this is Tony Nyadundo. Now, of course, the song is a very long song, goes for 11 minutes actually. But you can see the culture and tradition of the Luo people. This is in Western Kenya. And Tony Nyadundo is one of the respected artists there. Now, the song he's singing is named Doa ya Machozi, which means a marriage of tears. And this is the tribe of Awino. Maybe before we close, reminding George, you've not been here for a while, and maybe I should update you on where we are with our programs. Diana was named the Real World Impact by the XR Women, and she's going to be receiving her award next month in Long Beach, California. She couldn't be able to travel that soon, and so she's going to be doing her acceptance video. In fact, it was supposed to happen today or tomorrow, the acceptance video. And that's where we are. Yahuza too, maybe you've not been here for a while. We also did the outro in the Gatherverse. I think by the time you left, you saw that. I don't know whether you did. George, did you see that presentation? The outro in the Gatherverse that, all right. Christopher Lafayette honored us with the outro presentation of the Africa VR Campus and Center, which we did in the Metaverse. The first time it has happened in the Gatherverse, which was funny because the Gatherverse is all about immersive technologies and AI. But nobody has ever presented from the Metaverse, and that was a big pride to see the students talk about the Metaverse in the Gatherverse. So we did that. The other one is that immediately after that, we were gifted 20 headsets by one of the viewers of the Gatherverse. And I believe we should be receiving a first batch of 6 headsets. Personally requested for the MetaQuest 3S because I didn't want the donor to have a difficult time buying the MetaQuest 3, which I believe is the most expensive amongst the 3S and the 3. So I just requested him to buy the 3S, which is the latest, but the cheapest. It's funny that way. The other announcement is that we are collaborating with an organization called Styropsia, which are based in Brussels in Europe, and they are willing to sponsor 8 flights to Morocco. 8 flights of XR Girls Africa to Morocco. That will include Israel. So that we go and do the XR Summit there in Morocco. Do I have another? Yes, and the XR women will be discussing how the XR Girls Africa will be the Kenyan chapter or the African chapter of the XR women group. So they'll be more closer to them. Oh yes, and I was also told to write a budget of how much I need to build a campus. So I wrote a budget between $150,000 to $2.5 million. So I wrote budgets between those. There were like 6 budgets between $150,000 to $2.5 million. So the reason why we do that is because we don't know the power of the sponsor. So we just give them a variety of budget for them to choose which one works best for them. So that's the update from Africa VR Campus and Center. Our girls are still continuing with their lessons. They spent the day yesterday learning about MetaQuest casting and mirroring. And wouldn't you know, when I was showing them, I did a practical lesson after I had already taught them, and I wanted to see how fast I can do the mirroring from scratch, putting on the headset, connecting it to we were casting it to the TV. So I did it in 1 minute 30 seconds, right? Nyambura did it in 51 seconds.
Wow.
So I did it in 1 minute 30 seconds. Just repeat, the teacher did it in 1 minute 30 seconds. Nyambura did it in 51 seconds. Zainab did it in 52 seconds. Shiko, who came very close to me, did it in 1 minute 35 seconds. And Zainab, I believe, did it in around 130 something or 140 something, and Margaret did it in about 2 minutes. So that shows you how quickly they learn. So they learned it so fast, they did it faster than me. And that was pretty good for me to see. I was very proud of them, and they won some cash rewards for that. Carmen, you came toward almost the end of our event here. I don't know whether you would introduce yourself and tell us where you're calling in from, Carmen, before we
go. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you loud and clear, Carmen.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I'm quite a beginner.
All right.
I'm from Romania.
Oh, Romania. I was actually
Yes.
today earlier I was reading about the fall of there was a dictator there between 1930s and 1990. Who fell in Romania in 1990? Whose reign fell?
What?
Dictator. There's a dictator president in Romania.
Ceausescu.
Yes,
Nicolae
Ceausescu. That's the one I was reading about. And they were assassinated with their wife. I mean, they were the judgment. They were tied. And
they were executed.
Yeah. They were executed. Yes, they were executed by fire squad. I was reading that today, and then I meet you from Romania. How absurd is that? Very absurd.
Yes.
I think you could be the second Romanian here in this space. This is Wayaki from Nairobi, Kenya. So actually, I'm not in Nairobi. I'm in Kiambu, Kenya. I was the first African in VR. And we have Edward from Canada and George from Fiji. My friends from Ospace VR, I think going to 4 years now, or maybe more. And we have Yahuza, who is a noob too in the Metaverse from Nigeria. So really nice to meet you, Carmen. This is an international
nice meeting you too.
Gathering ground. You are welcome anytime even to do a presentation. You came toward the end, but I don't know whether I'll be able to check your email and then I'll send you mine. And then in case you'd like to present something, just talk to me, email me, and then you'll be able to do something here to present. And maybe I can let me place my email in a way you can be able to see it. I think you're using a MetaQuest 2, and so I can be able to share.
Oh, yes.
Let me see whether I can be able to share my email a little bit here. So we have been so lucky. Last time you were visited by an Israeli, and now today we have a Romanian, and then before that we had Ukrainians coming in, and by the way we'll also be doing some stuff with them. So it's nice to see this international collaboration happening between us. All right, so I'm putting for you an email right here, so that you'll be able to see.
I'm not familiar. Where should I see it?
You will see it.
This is my first time actually.
I'm bringing it to you.
So...
There it is. Do you see it?
Oh, yes, I see it.
Yeah. That's
but what I'm going to do is write it down.
Yes, that's
which I don't know if it's almost a sin to do in a VR setting. I don't know, but I'm not familiar yet with all the tips and tricks of using.
Problem. I will be showing you the tricks. So there it is.
Okay.
Wayaki@africavr.org.
Okay.
All right. Anybody with an AOB before we go? Any closing wisdom or comment? George, anything going on in Fiji that you'd like to report?
Oh, just, it's just backwards here. They've been doing, they're talking about updating the curriculum in schools. And it's just the same old rubbish. They talk about, reevaluating and whatever, it's hopeless, and the situation is getting worse because when the students are sometimes because they ask what is they teach them weird math like algebra and geometry and whatever that they will never need. And they just begin questioning, like, why are we learning this? What is this for? Who uses this? And they leave school. And they have no idea about these technologies that are available to them. They don't learn anything about it. So there's students who are, have 12 years of school, and they don't know that they can take free university courses through MOOCs like edX.org. Excellent university courses for free, and they don't use it. They don't tell them.
Wow.
So it's getting worse. And now that AI is becoming so what is the point of paying a university so that the professor can use AI to prepare the lecture? Just stay home, you know? Like the change happening, and here they're trying to stay in the distant past. So I'm really getting very frustrated. And at the same time, like there's a real culture of copying. I've been working with a jeweler to purify, extract gold from sand and purify the gold.
Wow.
It's just unbelievable. You can get like a kg and get 1 or 2 ounces of gold out of it.
Wow.
Like some places there is so much gold, it's unbelievable.
Wow.
It's bothered, you know.
Wow.
It's a crazy place here, really crazy. And this is something that I could maybe help your girls to make some money. Cast jewelry, but also real orchid flowers, and cast the orchid flower. And because the orchid flower would have about 1 ounce of gold or so it'd be quite expensive.
Wow.
So what we're looking at now is how to cast it from silver and then gold plate it. So my friend that's a jeweler is getting a gold plating machine this week.
Nice.
Weekend. There's money.
Nice.
They're copying. Yeah, I mean, she learned how to do the design of the computer. I mean, it was amazing what she did, and then she just took off and got pregnant, and with no real future. Just
yesterday
tragedy.
we actually also talked about the pregnancies, and I really praise my girls because it's now 2 years from when they finish school for some of them, and they still have kept some of them have even kept their virginity, which is a big pride, a big source of pride to have a 20-year-old who has kept themselves so well, in contrast to their friends who are in the village and who refuse to take this free resource. I mean, who refuses free resource? If Yahuza was in Nairobi, Yahuza, and this time I'm going to give you a platform and maybe tell us what you've been doing. But if you are in Nairobi, I'm sure you'd be coming for the free XR classes that I offer in Nairobi. I'm sure you'd be very interested. And then now here you are giving it to the people, and some of them are running away from it to become prostitutes and drug dealers. What are you doing in Nigeria right now, Yahuza, and how would you like to be supported by this community, and what do you think about XR?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. What I do right now, I run a non-governmental organization, which is a community-based organization here in Taraba State, trying to help the poor, the needy, and those the underserved privileged in our society, especially the young girls that are out of school, to see how we can bring them back to class, and then also sensitize them on the need to keep their virginity, especially I have so much interest in where you talked about their virginity. So right now we're touching up to girls, young adults, about menstrual hygiene. They need to know their cycle, because most of these pregnancy comes as a result of the young girls not knowing their cycle, when they are going to ovulate, when they are not ovulating, when they're taking in, when they're not taking in, when they meet the men. Now most of them, the moment they are free from menstruating, they don't see any blood, and then they feel it's okay for them to engage in any sexual activities with men or anything, without understanding their cycle and how it works, and when to receive a man and when not to receive a man, and then the dangers in it. So we've been on and off, trying to
Thank you,
see how we can get them understand this thing very well, so that they will be able to stay in school. Because there was a case of a senior secondary school student impregnating a junior secondary school lady of grade 3. He is in grade 6.
Yes. Even here is the same.
And then impregnating a lady in grade 3. So as a result of the lady not understanding, they think it's a norm, it's something that is in vogue. It's a pride to them to have a boyfriend, to be sleeping with men. In most of these communities, they think it's a pride. So we try to bring them down, say, no, this is not a pride. There's no pride in it. The only prize you get is once you get pregnant, definitely you're out of it.
Yes.
Because you're going to have 9 months of the pregnancy, and then probably 2 years of willing the child. You go back to school. So by then, you are made. It means you have wasted about 3 to 4 years. Not in school. So your mate must have graduated, and then you lose interest in the school again. So that is what we are trying to do, see how we can bring the community together and then talk to the young girls. And then we also share and distribute sanitary pads to them. Also, we also try to teach them how to use. They cannot afford the normal one. We try to teach them how to use the reusable one. They sew it themselves, and then when they use it, they wash it by themselves so that they are hygienically clean. We also support students on the less privileged with writing materials, books, school uniforms, school bags, school shoes. Those that do not have, their parents cannot afford to buy them those things. We try to intervene in our own little way so that they can have access to education. We also go to clinics to talk to parents as well as women on hygiene, nutrition, and all the health benefits that at least a sane society should be able to have. I think those are some of the few things that we do here in our own organization. The name of the organization is Initiative for Community and Human Development in Taraba. Basically, we're focusing on human development to see how we can bring the society together to be functioning as a unit.
Nice.
So basically, this is what we do in our
young women empowerment.
A lot of opportunities here in the VR. With you leading the team, we should be able to liberate. As time goes on, we want to see how we can bring the students together into the VR world, and they also learn from their peers in maybe Kenya and other countries, so that they interact with each other and see the possibilities of learning from a distance.
Nice, great. Yahuza was part of the he was part of the Metaverse for SDGs competition, and so I met him during that United Nations Red Metaverse for SDGs, and he's been there trying to get to the VR since. Yes, Yahuza?
Mr. Paul?
Yeah, I still hear you.
He's muted.
Oh, he's muted. Can anyone hear?
Oh, sorry. No, we can hear you. I was just saying that. Sorry, I was saying that. You have been here since the Metaverse for SDGs program, and you have stuck on trying to get into VR. And the only thing that was, denying Yahuza entry was because of the internet challenges in Taraba, in Nigeria. But it's really wonderful having you here, Yahuza. Edward, do you have any words of wisdom before we close? And by the way, today we are back to live streaming, and so we are live streaming right now. We have got 26 watching online, and that's a very big number. That's the biggest number we've had. And so everything you have said here is being heard out here in Africa. And the reason why we live stream, of course, we tell the people to mark their attendance on Engage, because you do that, you don't need to go to the VR. You just need to go to the browser and log in your Engage and click attendance, so that they can be able to watch it, knowing that they click their attendance. And I see all your comments. I'm not going to be able to read them now, but definitely relaying your presence here in the Metaverse to those few that are present here now. Closing remarks, Edward, any words of wisdom to us and the story you've heard of Awino and maybe the dairy running?
Awino, wow. That was a very nice story. I enjoyed that one. Wow. That'll be in my mind for some time to come. I was wondering, when the girls go to Africa, would you be televising it in VR with their meetings there in Morocco?
No. I'll be going with the girls to Morocco.
Okay. Will you be televising it?
Oh, you mean if it will be online?
Online, yeah.
Yes,
or is that private?
The best way to do a presentation is to be a Metaverse presentation, even though we'll be there physically.
Okay.
I think during my time to speak, it will be I'm going to open up a portal. But don't forget, this might not be, because obviously it's gonna be daytime, our time. I think so. I don't know yet the time slot that will be given, but probably it's gonna be daytime, our time. And then it might not be friendly for you in Canada. However, Edward, I would really love for us to do a collaborative presentation. And I'm going to give you a role to present during that presentation. And this will show our collaboration with the international audience in the Metaverse. And who better to say it than you, who have been coming here since our very first, events in our space. So, and you've been coming since. You have right now the biggest number of Metaverse events attended, hosted by Africa via Campus and Center. You hold the biggest number. Wow. Nobody can beat that.
Wow, thank you.
So,
thank you.
I know it will be a moment now to come and disclose that. In this time round, I'm going to write up something for you to read, and I'm going to show you how you read it from in the Metaverse. And I think Maganji, if you want to join Edward, is also hosting Friday YouTube meditation at 9 p.m. Nairobi. So if you can meet him there, 9 p.m. Nairobi. And also in the comment, I do see Timor from Israel, the one we met us here. And she said she's going to be speaking with me at exact time that you're hosting that event. I wish she could have chosen another time, but she says she's going to be available at the same time. So I do hope to come in immediately after the call to join you, because I enjoyed really my time learning a few tricks in Engage, and it's been fun teaching you those few tricks there.
Yeah, so it's been fun learning from you. It's been fun learning from you. I love it. Thank you very much for that.
Any words of wisdom to Africa, maybe, or any last comments towards the story that we've had?
It's very beautifully said, like that. Like sometimes like that person, everybody thought, she'd be in a problem and she would she'd be in trouble, but she always came out of it like that. Like she was a strong woman like that. And the way she kind of helped them, instead of taking it to herself, she shared the goods with the people in the village like that. She didn't take it upon herself. It's mine, but she shared it with them. So she was a very compassionate person.
Yes.
And I was kind of wondering what happened to her after she disappeared.
Nobody knows.
Continue the story. And what? Like that? That's it? It's like left me hanging.
No, today I didn't want to leave you hanging. Today I didn't want to leave you hanging.
Is there more story?
I give the whole story.
Okay, okay, all right, okay.
I do know that the Nyambura story has a cliffhanger, but I've not finished it, and we have to wait for Dot to come back because she didn't want to hear the rest of the story.
Okay, all right.
And thank you for being here. It's been fun. It's been great, of course, connecting with my brothers from all across the world. And I think I'm the most blessed man ever in Africa, because my friends come and they never leave my side, and that's great. We are going to close with Wanjiru singing the beautiful song Kairetu Gakwa, which means my girl. This is Swayaki calling in from Kiambu, Kenya, saying kwaheri. And thank you for being here. Asante.
Kairetu areagwa tidero nega kwendete twaria tru dwanyendaga wendaga okuria maisha Utuko temule utado manie Nyuaga mzinga Nego dinga newa nere Nere Kasina bisa Yonaga itatari Maisha magoro